guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a while since I've talked to the camera, so good to see you guys again. What I wanted to record today is really just what I do after school and how I'm balancing kind of work and school as a high school student and a content creator at the same time. And to be honest, it's really difficult to balance, and I don't even balance it half the time anyway. It's either school is sacrificed or my content creation is sacrificed. But what I plan to do today is strike a balance between both. And in doing so, stemming off my last video on how I film my videos, I wanted to show you guys through my entire editing process and what that looks like for me. I know a lot of you guys are looking into content creation yourself or are interested in how I edit my videos and have a lot of questions, and so I hope to address all of those in this video as well. But of course, school comes first, so let's go do some study to get ourselves in the productive mood today. Alright, so I've just been working on some studies of religion work. I'm kind of in this waiting period before my exams come in around like 3 to 4 weeks. So everything I'm doing now is just a lot of preparation and trying to be as proactive as possible to prepare for my exams. I'm going to continue to finish off this studies of religion work. I might do some modern history course notes looking at the European War in World War II. And then we'll go edit our video, and if we have time at the end of the day, I might do some math revision because that is my first test coming up next week. Alright, so I had a pretty productive study session. I got those 2 things that I wanted to get done complete for the night, even though it took me a little bit longer than I thought. It is currently 9 p.m, so it did take me quite a while to get through the work that I wanted to get through today, but it is leaving me with a little bit of time at the end of the day to show you guys how I edit my YouTube videos as I get started on my next vlog coming up. So for starters, I use CapCut Pro to edit my videos. CapCut is a really simple and approachable video editing software I find, where it's kind of like a middle ground between basic editing softwares like iMovie and more professional grade like Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro. There are so many different features that CapCut Pro has, and it's just really fun to kind of mess around with all the different things that you can use the app with. But to be honest, it was a little bit overwhelming at first to get used to kind of like desktop editing when I first started out, since I was really used to editing on my phone. And I think I could hit the ground running if I had just a good guide that helps me get used to the software within like the first few days. And so before we get into how I edit, I wanted to talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is one of the largest online learning communities with so many creative classes taught by world-class creatives and professionals like illustrators, renowned graphic designers, content creators, and of course, vloggers. I think it is the best place to look into learning a new skill or hobby that you've been interested in, because you learn at your own pace in the comfort of your own home. Recently, I've used Skillshare to expand my skill set in video editing. I've used it to get some foundations in DaVinci Resolve, which I'm still learning how to use. But more importantly, I really solidified the skills that I need to use CapCut Pro with Skillshare. And so I found Skillademia Academy's CapCut Advanced Masterclass, Cinematic Editing, Effects, and Pro Workflows. It was incredibly helpful and really interesting, and taught by freelance creative professional Hosna Kachui. She went through some cool cinematic techniques that you can make with CapCut, which I've incorporated into my own editing workflow, looking at keyframes and speed curves, blending audio, and color grading with masks. I think it has really helped me get a good grasp of all the features CapCut has to offer, and I like to think the quality of my editing reflects that. There are a bunch of courses out there on Skillshare, and Skillademia even offers more courses on CapCut looking at short form content creation and just some basic foundations to starting with CapCut. So, since I know many of you guys are aspiring creatives yourselves, the first 500 people to use my link in the description or the QR code on screen will receive 1 free trial month of Skillshare. My editing process is definitely nowhere near professional or efficient by any means, but I thought you guys would be interested in just seeing what it looks like and how I approach editing my videos. And so since many of you are familiar with my high school after hours series, I kind of have a backlog of a bunch of footage that I need to be editing. And so I'm going to start my high school after hours episode 12. And I'm just going to edit my Monday out of the 3 days that I filmed to show you just what I do. Alright, so I have CapCut open here with a new project. First things first, I edit off my Samsung T7 Shield SSD. My laptop obviously doesn't have a bunch of storage, and just it's a hassle to have to like edit locally, and so it's really convenient being able to just edit off an SSD like this. Alright, so I've just imported all of my resources that I use as a basis. This obviously is my footage. I have some sound effects here which are for my like overlays and stuff, and then in the audio tab here under extracted audio, these are just my general sound effects instead. The first thing I do is find music. Music is the way that I set the tone and the pacing and just like the vibe of the video. And so I always have music as the starting point of all of my clips. There are 2 main audio libraries I use. One is the YouTube audio library on YouTube Studio. It is a free library with a bunch of different songs from like all of these different genres, and they're all copyright free, so it is my safest option. But I also have under audio here and under music, I have all of these songs from the CapCut music library as well. The only thing is they aren't necessarily copyright free, so you just don't know until you test it. And it also may be generated AI, which I am not a fan of using. I tend to use a lot of bossa nova, jazz, and blues depending on like the vibe of what I'm doing. And then once I have the music I want for a sequence, I'll just start importing all my clips and doing rough cuts, timing it with the beats, and just messing around with that until I'm happy with the sequence that it is. And then it will just be a cycle of just finding music, matching it with shots until, you know, rinse and repeat until I have my whole timeline done. First of all, of course, we have to get my classic like cassette sound effect. Here I am in the YouTube audio library. I'm going to go to Start to show you all the songs that I have saved here. Alright, so now I have all my clips in here. I'm just going to open up each of these and just scan for any footage that I want. Alright, so for my intro sequence, it's just a bunch of like previews of what's coming. and I've just obviously had a quick scan of all of my clips, and I actually really like this vlog. I think there's a lot of fun stuff happening, and it really captures kind of like what my week really is like. So what I'm going to do is just trim everything and make my little intro sequence, and yeah, just match it up with the music, and then we'll add some text. Alright, so I have a broad range of different clips here. I'm going to put a fade out here for the music, and then Command B to cut there. And then I have about a 30-second intro sequence, which is a bit long, but okay for, I guess, the amount of stuff that's in this video. In my SFX file here, there are some whooshes that I'd like to put in. All of these sound effects are from Zapsplat, which is a free online sound effects library that you can look at. Highly recommend looking into it. So we have that. For my transitions, I'm just going to use a black fade here, and then just time the sound effect with that. Now for here, I've left this to be 3 seconds because I have my classic vlog number change thing. So under text here, I'm going to add default text. For my font, I use Alata. Then I'm going to type vlog like this, put my characters like that. This is just the stuff that I do. And then I bring it down to size. So this is vlog 71. So I'm going to put this 70 here. And then if you hold shift and drag, you can keep it locked on the same axis. Like that. I'm going to put a split here and change that to 71. And then in the animations tab, just under text here, for the out animation, I do this rollout animation. And then for the 71, for the in animation, I do this slide down. In this audio that I have, this is my sound effect for a film rolling sound effect. Alright, and then after this here, I'll just have my normal title sequence, which will be high school after hours. And then once I have that, I'm going to add my color grading. I just use some LUTs and then some little tweaks here and there within CapCut, depending on the scene that I have. LUTs are lookup tables. They are basically just like a filter that you apply onto a video. I don't film in log, mainly just because of storage reasons, and I'm not like very well versed in color grading, and so I don't really know how well I can work with it. Log is basically shooting in a file format where the whole like screen is very grayed out, and then it's holding a bunch of data on the colors in that scene, so that you're able to really edit all the different colors in that frame. I don't have the time or the effort for that right now, so I film in Rec 709, and then I also have a LUT for Rec 709, which I highly recommend you search up Fresh LUTs on Google. It is an online LUT library, and you can just pick and choose the one that you want. So let's go add those. This is a bit professional, I guess. It is something a lot of professional editing software has. DaVinci Resolve is really good for color grading. I haven't really dabbled too much in it. But yeah, that is my intro section. It is a snapshot of how my editing looks like. I'm going to apply this to the rest of my timeline and finish off up to the end of this first day in my vlog, and show you how the later parts of my editing process looks like once I've gotten through the rough cut. Alright, so I have finished my rough cut for my Wednesday that I have filmed. I also add some text here indicating the day and the time. I only do this for the start of the day, and then I go and scan through to put in timestamps in the rest of the video later on. As you can see, my rough cut also involves some like rough sound effects to accompany the music, as well as some sound effects for these transitions here, like this fade and this paper transition here. And so the next thing that I do is I go to text and auto captions, and I press generate auto captions. Now that my captions are here, you can see that it just sometimes pops up in random places where it shouldn't be, so I just delete it here. What I do is I just apply my font and all of the text customization stuff that I want, and we'll apply it to all of the captions in the video. And then all I'm going to do now is just scan through the video and make sure that the captions are accurate. And at the same time, I'm going to copy one of the captions, and then as I scan through, I like to add my own captions here, which isn't actually what I'm talking, but just kind of talking to the viewer through text. So I might say welcome back to another episode here. Actually, before I put my captions in, I do my timestamps. So just like how at the start of the sequence, I have this little like timestamp indicator. I'm just going to take the time and then copy and paste it to the point where I want it to go. So I want to show that it is 4:30 p.m. And then I'm going to copy both the sound effect of the alarm clock button and the text, and then scroll through again and find where I might be able to add it. So in this still shot here, I might add that like that and say it's 5:30. It's probably 5 at this point. Alright, so now that I have all of my timestamps in, the fun part is using my iPad and Procreate. The first one I had in mind was here for these two shots, and have something up on the right talking about watering my plants. I have Procreate open here, and all I'm going to do is open the layers, turn the background off so we have a transparent layer, get a white color, and then the brush I'm using is Oberon. I'm just going to pull the size down to about, we'll go for 3 maybe. Yeah, we'll do that. Alright, and then now that we have that, I'm just going to center it because I can move it anyway. And then I might just add some little stuff like that. And then what I do, I'll open up layers again. What I'm going to do is swipe right on the layer, press duplicate. On the bottom layer, I'm going to turn alpha lock on. Alpha lock basically means that any pixel that is colored in will only be colored by your brush, if that makes sense. And so what that looks like if I hide the top layer is I'm going to make the bottom layer all black. So even though I'm brushing on like this, it only affects the pixels that have been colored. And then I'll turn alpha lock off. So that is just hiding under the top layer. And then I'm going to go to this effects tab here and the Gaussian blur, and then just about there. And then now we have a drop shadow behind our text. Here we are. Just going to drag and drop, and we have the thing here. So what was on my iPad is now on my screen, which is pretty cool. And then in my sound effects tab, I have a classic pop, and then I'll basically just do that for a bunch of the other scenes that I have where I might want to include that. For example, here I want this to say like my matcha or something. And basically that is how I edit my videos. It is just a mix of all of those different things. You can see how parts of my style kind of emerge and are added on top of the rough cuts, the music, the text, these overlays. And that is just how I work. I work segment by segment, going through each day. And that is just how I make my videos. It is a bit time consuming, but it is definitely fun and rewarding once you see the finished product. And I hope you guys learned something from this and are inspired to experiment with video editing for yourself. And so if you guys do end up pursuing something, please let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or concerns, and I will do my best to help you guys out on your own journey. But yeah, once all of those elements are in the video and I'm happy with it, the video is done. I go and press export up here, and then I will save it to my SSD. I export in 4K and then 40,000 kilobytes per second for my bitrate and 30 frames per second with the H.264 codec. And do not forget, the first 500 people to use my link in the description below or the QR code on screen will receive 1 free month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you so much for all the love and support on my videos recently, and I will continue to do my best to get these videos out for you while I'm coping with school and trying to balance that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. So take care. Bye bye.